Hi, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. I'm here with Lisa and Father Wolf, and if you were here for class, we would be in the church talking to you about the upcoming season of Lent. And so now we are sending you a video instead. Lent starts next Wednesday on Ash Wednesday, February 17th.
So as we get ready for this season of Lent, just like you heard, Ash Wednesday is coming up soon. Ash Wednesday is the first start of the season of Lent, and when it comes to this season, just like any other time, things change a little bit. The church gets a new face. As you notice, a bit of a new face. One of the principal signs of the season of Lent are the ashes that we receive on Ash Wednesday. There's an ancient tradition when it comes to the church and our Jewish ancestry of wearing ashes as a sign of our penance, our repenting for offenses we've committed or shortcomings we've kind of fallen short on. The ashes are actually taken from the palms we use on Palm Sunday, gathered at the end of the year, all burned to create these ashes, and we use them, symbols of joy, mixed with that sorrow, which leads yet again into joy. Christian life moves in these cycles. This year, things are going to be slightly different, however, when it comes to the ashes. We're used to receiving them right on our foreheads for all the world to see, but this year, because, as everything, pandemic, things have changed ever so slightly. What's going on this year is just a precaution to be able to be safe, is we're going to be, instead of putting the ashes on our foreheads, we're actually sprinkling them on top of our entire heads. This is actually an ancient Roman tradition that Italy still uses and good parts of the world still kind of use. The idea being that Jesus in the gospel even says, when you fast, anoint your head with oil, wash your face, put on good clothes, don't appear to be fasting so that you get praised for fasting. It's an image in which we have a chance to reflect on the entirety of who we are, how we need to be covered in this sentimentality, this sense of sorrow when it comes to bad things that we may have fallen short with, but at the same time putting ourselves in God's presence and being wrapped in the symbol that shows His mercy and His forgiveness. So when it comes to Ash Wednesday, you'll still get your ashes. They're just going to be a little bit different. Another principal sign of the season of Lent, when it comes to that new face, is that the color changes. Up to this time, we've been living in what's called ordinary time, and you see the color green. Green for life, vitality, freshness, new spring, which we could use a lot of right now with all this snow that's been burying us. The season of Lent changes the color into purple. Purple in the Old Testament was a symbol used to represent a few things. One, kings. Purple was a very rare color, and so only the most important people would be dressed in it. Purple, however, also had a sense of penance, had a sense of being able to represent sorrow we have for sin, and at the same time being clothed in this, being clothed in God's mercy. So when it comes to our vocation as kingly, princely, queenly people, as heirs to the kingdom of heaven, we drape the church in purple to show the royalness of what our identity is, but tie it in also to that we should always be ready to express our sorry when it comes to offenses we've committed, any shortcomings we have, because we are always going to be a work in progress. And just like the year changes with the seasons, so we are meant to change with them, to embrace the dignity we've been given by constantly keeping ourselves in check and cleaning things up as the years go by, so that this holy season kind of becomes like the preseason in the baseball game. You have a time of preparation, a time of steadiness, a time of practice, so that the remainder of the season, you're strong, fit, and able for anything that's going to get thrown at you. So when it comes to Lent, notice those two things. A little bit of ash, a little bit of purple, and it puts us in a good spot.
So for 40 days, Jesus stayed in the desert, and He prayed, He fasted, He was tempted by the devil, and He was preparing Himself for what He was going to endure. He was going to suffer, and He was going to sacrifice on the cross for us. So for 40 days, what we do during Lent is we walk with Jesus also. So we pray more, We fast, we try to reconcile with God, maybe go to confession, and we show more compassion towards one another. With fasting, what we do on Ash Wednesday is we try to eat just one meal a day, and on Fridays during Lent, we try to give up eating meat. Another Lenten resolution and practice that you do is sometimes people give up something. So for instance, I don't drink coffee. So to give up coffee for me is not a big deal. So usually when you guys are in class, you come and you ask me, can I give up spinach? Well, if you don't like spinach, giving up spinach, you don't feel any suffering whatsoever. So you really try to pick something that you really enjoy. Say candy, for instance. If you give up candy and for 40 days you don't eat candy, you are kind of suffering, and you have a little bit of that connection with Jesus in the desert. When he was suffering and fasting, you're doing your own personal fast, and so you are connecting with Jesus in that way. So try to think of something that you really truly love that you would give up, and then you would feel that during those 40 days. Sometimes instead of giving up something, sometimes it's great to take on something. So for instance, you can say, I'm gonna pray more. I'm gonna pray 15 minutes more a day, or I'm gonna try and do the rosary a day, or I'm gonna read from the Bible more. So in turn, you are giving up something because you're giving up time that maybe you would spend in front of the TV or on your phone or social media, by taking on something more, by praying more, or doing good deeds or whatever. One year, my daughter in college actually went to Mass every single day for the 40 days. So she did give up her time, did give up her sleep, so she could get up in the morning and go to Mass every day. So those are a few things to consider, but when you are doing them, remember, you are trying to walk with Jesus, remember his suffering, and do a little bit of your suffering too, so you have that connection with him during these 40 days.
Another way we walk through with Jesus during Lent is through the Stations of the Cross. This week in the mail, you should all receive a little pamphlet that looks like this in a letter, along with a sheet that explains the background of the Stations of the Cross. Usually, if you were here in class, we would do the stations as part of our spiritual enrichment during one of the classes, but since that is not possible, Father Nick and Father Wolf have filmed a virtual Stations of the Cross. I will send you a link in an email so that you can view them at home, maybe with your family. We will still be having in-person Stations of the Cross during Lent, each Friday during Lent. So Lent starts Wednesday, February 17th. So February 19th will be the first opportunity to come in person for Stations of the Cross, if you are comfortable with that. If not, you can view them at home with the link that I'll send you. Have a blessed Lent.